Enterprise Management 360.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Tech Chat. Now, in today's special International Women's Day episode, I'm going to be speaking to Elizabeth Hatt, Director of Dell Boomi UK and Ireland. So, Elizabeth, welcome to the show and thanks for coming on today.
Thanks, Max. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on, and I'm looking forward to delving into today's topic matter. But before we get into the meat of the matter, would you mind just giving our viewers a bit of background on yourself?
Sure. I think the last 10 years have been very much a focal point for me, which is the last 10 years with Dell Technologies. It's been an amazing ride. And it might be slightly misrepresentative to say that I've been with Dell for 10 years because it's been through acquisition upon acquisition. Mm-hmm. At the 7-year point, I had actually worked for 7 different legal entities. So I'm very familiar with the stress and uncertainty that comes with acquisition and mergers and so on. And as part of that, I also participate with Dell Technologies as mental health ambassador, which is why I think absolutely brilliant that you're covering this topic today. We all need to be talking about it.
Exactly. It's such a key kind of area to focus on, and that's exactly what we're going to do on today's episode. In honor of International Women's Day 2021, the theme this year and the hashtag that you can follow is Choose to Challenge. And I think that falls nicely within this conversation because Elizabeth's going to be lending her expertise on workplace mental health and really how to challenge and change the tech status quo. So I wanted to kick off the show here by asking you really what common issues are we seeing when it comes to mental health in the workplace, and what are the best examples you've seen of combating it?
I think the first we need to just define the mental health parameters we're talking about. Mm-hmm. There's clinical and non-clinical, and I am not going to claim to be any expert on the clinical. We're talking about the non-clinical mental health concerns that we see in the workplace that we want to help combat. There have been many, many studies, you'll have seen them, I'm sure, about the cost of mental health to the business and overall, and also the amount of increase we're seeing with mental health issues during this pandemic year that we've just had. Mm-hmm. I think Mind did a study on it, and they saw that it was over half of the thousands of interviewees they had among the adult community expressed their distress, their anxiety, their stress levels had increased significantly. So I think that's probably what we're seeing most of in the workplace is a degree of stress, a degree of anxiety, and it goes up and down. 1 week is good, 1 week is bad. Mm-hmm. But I think mostly in terms of how it's impacted work, I see a massive upward tick in short fuses. They're reacting rather than considering and responding. There's so much pressure elsewhere with families and their home lives. Boomi, we were in a phenomenally fortunate position in that we were already remote workers for the most part. There's a lot of the Dell Technologies community is, and we were used to the technology we had to engage with all the time. And albeit we were face-to-face a lot more than we have been, we were in a very, very fortunate position. And even then, we're still seeing it. We're still seeing that those issues come up. So I don't think that is a prohibitor or something that has actually helped us avoid it. It's just been a very, very difficult circumstance for everyone to deal with.
Obviously important with the pandemic and lockdown. A lot of organizations haven't known how to deal with this. They might not have even had a mental health wellbeing in place, and then they're seeing their employees suffer and the panic kind of sets in and they don't know how to deal with it. Do you think this conversation around mental health in the pandemic and lockdown is going to continue post-COVID when workers are asked to return to the office? And if it is going to continue, what do employees need to be prepared for in terms of that conversation with employees?
I absolutely, yes. The conversation needs to continue. I think people are digging really deep at the moment, really deep, just to make sure that they see their way through to, okay, lockdown is lifted. Mm-hmm. But I use the holiday analogy on this because, when you're building up towards a holiday and you've got loads of things to prepare and there's an element of stress because you want to make sure everything's covered. And then you get to the holiday and it's like suddenly you've got that relief and the release from all of that pressure. And lo and behold, you get sick or you feel really flat or you just plummet. And I don't know. I don't think we can tell what's going to happen, once the lockdown lifts. And I think everyone will individually respond differently. But I keep thinking that it's a societal pressure. It's across the whole country. When that lifts, is there going to be a reaction to that? So I think it's really, really critical that as employers and leaders that we make sure that we recognize that there may be a lot more issues yet to come. Fundamentally, two things: flexibility and expectations. I think we need to make sure that we are continuing to offer the flexibility that we have been offering during COVID. There's a lot of people that aren't going to feel comfortable just suddenly going back into an office, into a big crowded boardroom. And that may be quite uncomfortable for some people. Other people will welcome it with open arms. But I think we need to then flex ourselves around that. And maybe I'd say adjust expectations, but I think almost have no expectations. Be able to say, well, we don't know quite what's going to happen. Let's be open to what does and see if we can respond to that. And be considered with it. And talk to the teams, talk to your employees, continue to have those conversations around mental health and have people open up and tell you what they need in order to be able to do their job well. We've switched a lot of environments, a lot of companies have switched to really focusing on results, not hours worked. And I think that, again, is going to be part of our new future.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more with everything you're saying here, because that work-life balance and the communication is so important going forward. I honestly could talk about this subject all day, so we might have to.
We do.
We could be here a while.
Yeah,
but I should get to my final question here, because obviously we're doing International Women's Week here at EM360, as I mentioned. So I wanted to understand from your perspective, how do you choose to challenge the tech status quo in your role in relation to all of this that we've spoken about today? That's within Dell Boomi, UK and Ireland, and really in your spare time as well.
Yeah. So I've been scrutinizing this because, you want to pick a good one for Choose to Challenge. On Monday, I'm talking about, I'm on a panel talking about the power of no. And we were talking through, what is it we really choose to challenge? And I'm going to say I actually choose to challenge myself. One of the things that can happen with over familiarity with the subject area, and I have talked about women in IT for a long time and been around other people talking about women in IT for a long time. And there becomes a potential for being slightly indifferent to whether we're actually making an impact or not. And so for me, it's about maintaining that vigilance. It's saying, actually, are we seeing results? Am I actually genuinely, wholeheartedly meaning exactly what I'm saying? Let me challenge myself on that. And then from that, make sure that I am doing the things that I know that I can do to make a difference. So I mentor a number of people, a number of women in my company and outside. And I see time and time again the same things come up. There are absolute tremendous amount of competence and ability, but a lack of confidence. And so trying to nurture and coach that throughout is something that's really important to me. So keep talking about it. Encourage reticent women to speak.
I think that's the best response at the end of the day. We all can't change the world, but if we can help the people that are in our lives and make those small differences, they add up to big changes down the road. So I think that's the most important thing. And as you say, being a mentor, being involved in these programs and really choosing to challenge yourself, I think is really the best progression method forward. So Elizabeth, it has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. So thank you for coming on and sharing your insights with this.
Thank you, Max. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone who took the time to watch this episode. We do hope you took a lot away. If you are looking for more information or people to contact, you can always head on over to boomi.com. You can join the conversation with us with the hashtag Choose to Challenge at EM360 Tech on Twitter and LinkedIn. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. And if you want more great daily content, head on over to EM360tech.com.